Rod and Andy Golf here, the Taylormade BRNR Mini Driver 2024 version. Is it a 3-wood killer? Is it a driver killer? I'm going to compare it to my old Titleist TS2 3-wood and see if it moves the needle enough to warrant putting it in the bag. Very cool club, a lot of positive reviews on it. I think it looks great. From what I've hit of it so far, it feels good, but does it move the needle enough compared to my several-year-old Titleist TS2 3-wood? I'm going to see what it looks like tonight. I'm about 250 yards from the green here, going to hit a couple off the tee as well as some off the deck. Just a quick note on the shafts I have in both of these. On my old Titleist TS2, I got a Diamana X Flex. I've always liked it. Just feels really solid. This is a 65-gram UST Mamiya, just one of the stock shafts. Stiff flex in the BRNR Mini Driver. Golf shafts do matter. I haven't been fit for either one of these. I like to take things out to the course and see how they perform out on the course for me. So just kind of fit by tinkering. All right, let's hit a couple off the tee with the TS2. One more off the tee with the TS2 3-wood. All right, the BRNR Mini Driver off the tee. Yes, it looks great behind the ball. Looks like the driver's from the 90s, but just because it looks great doesn't mean it needs to go in the bag. One more BRNR Mini Driver off the tee. This felt perfectly fine, but honestly, it's just a few yards longer for me. This is the 11.5-degree version of the BRNR Mini Driver. This one's about 14 degrees, so I would expect to get a little more distance off the tee. Now, one thing that people talk about with this BRNR Mini Driver is they feel like they have a lot more control. So when their driver starts to go crazy, they bump down to this and it gives them a lot more control. Now, the counterpoint to that is not that this is just some super secret weapon, but I think one of the key notes on that, the stock length in this BRNR Mini Driver is 43.75 inches. The stock length in a normal driver is between 45.5 and 45.75 inches, generally speaking, depending on the manufacturer. I think what would give people a lot more feeling of control with their regular driver and benefit them greatly is actually cut down your regular driver an inch to an inch and a half and see if that gives you a lot more control. I personally have found it to be a way more controllable club when you cut it just a little bit shorter. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. Consider just trimming your driver length down a little bit, and you can experiment. Just grip down an inch or two over an entire round with your driver and see how it works for you. If you really like it, cut down your driver a little bit. Now let's check it out off the deck. I'm very curious how it performs off the turf. Let's give it a go. Old Faithful, Titleist TS2, off the deck. One more off the deck with the TS2. All right, let's go off the deck with the BRNR Mini Driver. I'm very curious on this. Confidence behind it, how it launches, how it plays. Is it that much better than the TS2? This is the 11.5-degree version. I kind of like just playing things set the way they are standard as far as the hosel adjustment, so I'll just leave it standard, 11.5 degrees. And that last one, that's the shot that I'm not really fond of, kind of that worm burner. Didn't really top it, but barely elevated. Not real crazy about that type of shot. That was a lot of fun. I love testing clubs out on the course where you actually use them, love tinkering. And for myself, I'd look for one of two things. I'd want it to be longer in distance and easier to hit. For me personally, that is not necessarily the case. You may have a different experience. Yes, it is a nice club, but it's very expensive as well. So I got my old trusty Titleist TS2. I think I'll be sticking with this. With golf, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. Yes, it hit fine off the tee. Yes, it hit fine off the turf. But my old trusty TS2 pretty much did the same thing. So not going to let ego get in the way, and just because it's super cool, put it in the bag. You got to be practical as well. So for myself, I think this will be going on eBay, and I'll be sticking with my trusty TS2. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I do appreciate it. I know I'm a smaller channel Would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Would love to have you along for the journey. Thanks again.